So dude, appreciate you taking the time. We've just finished a private day today working through new ads, new strategies that we're going to plug in to help you scale even further. For context, and anyone watching this right now, you've been working with me for over 2 years in a one-to-one capacity. I just want to take this time after finishing a private day, after working together for such a long period of time, and you achieving some really impressive results, going from burnt out videographer at 5k a month to now building a team, an agency, and achieving some really impressive numbers. I guess my question for you today is, what do you think has helped you do that? And can you give us a little bit more context? I've kind of expanded a little bit there, but tell us a little bit about where you was and where you are now, and kind of what's been some of the biggest levers and changes to make that happen.
Of course. So I think around the time when we first started speaking, I was definitely in that key decision point, which I feel like most videographers are going to hit at some point when they kind of get the business off the ground. They've got that foundation level of clients. Maybe they're hitting around 5k a month, maybe up to 10k a month, depending on how they're doing. And then I was just super busy doing everything still, obviously, like traveling all the time for shoots up and down the country, editing all the content myself, obviously then managing new projects or new clients coming in, trying to get new deals for the following month. Just feeling probably like there was a bit too much going on and a bit burnt out, as you said. So then it's kind of like the time to make a decision, right? Do I want to kind of stay in this role as like a solo videographer and keep trying to go down this path, maybe gradually increase my rates over time, or maybe just try and scale back my workload a little bit so it's not so intense and sit, just below that kind of 10k a month mark? Or do I actually want to take things to the next level, build a team around me so I'm not necessarily doing everything myself, and kind of build more of that agency format? So that was probably about the time we started working together. So basically I made that shift. I made that decision that, the agency route is what I want to go down. I don't want to still be doing everything myself. I don't want to be editing all the content myself. I want to focus on maybe a few key areas of the business, working with some dream clients on filming, their content strategy, have a team to handle the editing and manage things in behind the scenes, and just, scale to sort of 20, 30k months and beyond.
Nice. And what's been some of the record months for you right now, if you don't mind me asking?
Yep. So I believe our current PR is around 23k for the month, and then obviously looking to push it up to consistent 30k months this year.
Yeah, I think you'll smash way beyond that. I think for anyone watching and listening to this right now, you've been doing the hard work, which is building the team under you. Like you've hit the revenue levels, you've brought the clients in, at each level you've kind of maxed out, and I think now you're at that scaling point of one of the biggest bottlenecks being the ability to fulfill is now expanded based on your ability or based on the reality of putting more team in place for yourself. So I actually think you'll surpass that pretty easily. Going back to like where you was at before working together, how you mentioned like feeling like you probably taken on a bit too much. How did you feel during that time? Like because I guess in some ways people might hear that and you're like, 5 to 10k a month sounds really good. It's more than enough money to kind of do what you want with for most people. Why was there a decision to want more? And like, what's the ugly side of being at 5-10k months as a solo creator?
I think going into this, like that is probably the starting goal for where we all want to get to, right? And I was probably very much the same, obviously never made that kind of money in my life before. So then, when you start hitting consistent 5k, 7, 8, 10k months, it is really cool. But also there's a hell of a lot of work that goes in behind that. I think especially in this kind of, with this job, with this industry, like it's a creative industry, right? So we all get into it for passion for the most part because we like shooting videos. And I think because of that, there's more and more new people coming into the industry, more and more new videographers, which are going to do stuff for free or at lower rates, which then kind of by default brings the expectation, at least for certain clients, that we shouldn't be charging much, like a couple of £100 for video projects. So probably definitely stuck with maybe charging not as much as I wanted to charge for shoots, and just feeling like I was doing a lot, like it's either not charging what I wanted to charge, or getting a decent, maybe higher ticket rate, but giving them a shit ton of deliverables in order to get that higher price point. So again, just like kind of being stuck with like almost just having to balance too much.
I guess for you, how often would you feel burnt out? How often, like, did you ever get to a point that you were like, is this even what I want to do? Because it's so overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a roller coaster, right? Building a business. So I think there's just always going to be points like that. It's kind of as you're pushing the boundaries of what you thought is possible, or like where your current skill set is at, and you kind of need to break past it to take things to the next level and to keep growing. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely been points like all throughout this journey, even now, but especially in those starting stages where you're doing long hours, not getting paid that much, you're just scrapping to find clients, right? And then yeah, there's just periods where you kind of break and it's just a bit too much, and it's like, is this the right path? Is this still what I want to do? And then I think if you take a second to maybe step back, rest, reassess, you can figure out the pathway around that.
How important has mentorship been for you in terms of the route to progress forward?
I think mentorship is huge. I think I've always been pretty consistent with always wanting to reinvest back into the business, in particularly with my skill set. So not just like buying new cameras, new kit, which I think is what most videographers will do when it comes to like reinvesting back into the business. But really what's going to get you the exponential returns and the exponential growth is your skill set, and having a mentor is probably the best way to do that. Just fast tracks the process, right? Kind of gives you that guiding direction of where to go if you get stuck, like you've probably been there before, or just have an outside perspective that's going to help you navigate whatever that situation is. So I think it's huge.
I find what's really common when I'm speaking to other creatives, I guess especially videographers, is that they naturally will go and invest into gear and lighting. You know, gear and lighting, it's not, you know, I mean, we're surrounded by a lot of gear right now, but we're talking thousands of pounds investing into equipment and tools. And yes, I believe that these things can help create more efficiency, produce a better end outcome in terms of the deliverable. But I can say with confidence from my own experience and my own clients' experience that, you know, buying more and more gear doesn't get you more clients. And I just want to hear from your perspective, having gone down this path and grown. I think, you know, from our time together, probably like over 4 or 5x your revenue, and now building a team and, you know, push into levels where most people probably wouldn't believe they could get to as a, you know, quote unquote videographer. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think gear and investing in gear gets you to where you want to be in the business, and gets you more clients? Or yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this.
I mean, I really don't care about my gear too much. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I very much see it as a tool, right? Like, as a tool to get the job done. So if it's something I absolutely need for the project, then of course I'm going to buy that and use that tool, that piece of kit. But for the most part, like, if you want to take this seriously and you want to grow a bigger business, you're just going to get way more upside from investing what you would have spent, you know, that 1 to 2K maybe on some new kit into your business skill set. So having a one-to-one mentor or courses or whatever it may be, it's just going to fast track that business growth. You know, buying a new piece of kit isn't necessarily going to guarantee you more clients, but if you learn how to sell better, how to market better, that is.
Because I guess for context, for someone listening to this, since the very first time we worked together, because you initially came on and did like a very short sprint period of coaching, then came back probably a year or two later, and have you been in the mentorship since then? You've probably 5x your average, probably more, because actually what you're selling now is recurring. So I can remember back to the days where you were probably charging around £500 for a project, and now your average customer spend is 4 times that on a monthly retainer.
Yeah.
So when you actually think about the value or the increase, like you've gone from one-off projects at that to monthly rolling, recurring at 4 times the rates. And what do you think was, sharing some of the secret sauce here for someone watching this, what were the biggest changes that's allowed you to do that?
I think the first one is leaning into monthly retainer work or just longer term partnerships with your clients. Because obviously if you're just selling one-off projects all the time, you're very much in that like fight or flight mode of always trying to get the next project in, and it just kind of, it makes your business feel way more unstable, and I don't think it's a very nice environment to be in. Whereas if you have monthly retainer based work, you know that work's coming in each month, and it kind of creates a bit of a minimum income that you can earn each month, and then you just keep adding to that. So if you add one client the first month, and then a client the next month, the next month, the next month, you just kind of compound your revenue, over the course of the year. So I think that's huge. Also, probably the biggest shift for us is leaning into the other areas around video. So content strategy being a huge one. We're not just selling video anymore, we're selling a result for our clients, which then allows you to charge higher price points, whether that is monthly, whether that's for a one-off thing, just because what they're getting from that is so much more valuable than just, say, a nice piece of content.
Yeah, makes total sense. Honest, what's your short feedback, experience, perspective on the time you've worked with me in the mentorship? Like, I guess what I'm fishing for here is like, what's made it worth its money? What's made it worth its investment? And like, what have you got from it?
The biggest thing I love about working with you is the one-on-one coaching element. Like, you're very much present within my business. We have really great coaching calls where we really dive in and fix whatever the key bottleneck or problem is at that time. Whereas, if you're just on like a group coaching course or just a course that you complete yourself, you don't get that really detailed effect on your business. Whereas having that contact with you, we can troubleshoot on the fly. So that's huge. I just think your ability to, I don't know how to put this in words, just the way you word things, like your ability to like riff on stuff and understand how to reply to messages from clients, or what to say in your content and the different angles there, like you just get it. And it's so cool to see that come together. Yeah.
It's a nice little bit of pumping up the ego for me. No, I appreciate it. Any final words?
Also, just to add on that, also like the community element as well. I think building a business can be quite a lonely process if you don't have other people that are maybe also on that path and don't understand what you're doing. So then to be part of a community with other creators that have kind of big goals with their own businesses and are on a similar journey and a path to you is huge. So working with you and then having that collective of creators behind us, where we're doing meetups or we're just messaging each other about what's working in our businesses and getting different insights from each other, that's huge as well.